Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Create and Grow Your Dream Business podcast. I'm super excited for today's talk because we are talking all about AI and authenticity with Mr. Reed Hanson. What a pleasure to have you here on our podcast episode today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, I'm happy to have you. Let the people know a little bit about yourself before you give them all the goodies.
You bet. I run a marketing agency based in Chicago. We do digital marketing, including ads and SEO and campaign management, website development. In my prior career, I worked in software sales and then digital agency sales, and have been running this agency for a couple years. I got my start, my taste of entrepreneurship from working with my dad when I was 8 and beyond, pulling weeds and piling rocks at his landscaping business.
Oh, wow. So it means you have a correlation, right, between seeing the power of family business. Because if I'm not mistaken, I remember you mentioning as well that your wife is an entrepreneur also. So it
That's right.
seems like you took the power of family business and pulled it over here to where you are now.
Absolutely. So my wife is a photographer. She has a photography studio not far from here, and she started her business first, and so I'm following in her footsteps. She has very little business experience prior to that, but she has really taken the reins and done really well for herself.
Oh yeah. You actually just provided us the perfect segue right into our conversation because with us talking about AI has been around for a long time, but it's just kind of becoming a mainstream opportunity where entrepreneurs are taking advantage of it. So what advice would you give maybe a new entrepreneurs somewhere between 0 to 5 years who doesn't have much experience with AI? Where can they start?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, AI has been around for a few decades now, and uh, the real changes come in the last 2, 3 years where it's been available as like a browser app and then a phone app and in an interface that we're familiar with, like a chat.
Yeah.
So, chat OpenAI through ChatGPT has made it really easy to kind of visualize how you interact with an AI, and because you're wondering, like, is AI just like an entity from the Matrix or a Terminator robot? Absolutely not. Um, it's a it's a basically like a computer program that can learn and it can read content. It can improve itself, which is fascinating and also maybe the source for many future great scary movies. Uh, but in any case, in any case, what we have available today is a great interface, and they're free. You can start with free tiers of all of these apps, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini. And so the way I always suggest an entrepreneur engage with these is download these apps,
Yeah.
create an account with your email, and you will have somewhat limited use, but you will have the ability to see how these work.
Yeah.
You'll be presented with a field. You just start typing questions as if it were a Google search bar, and then you can see what results they drive. So I would recommend starting there
Yeah.
and getting familiar with it that way. But there's
Yeah.
obviously the secondary and tertiary steps to really harness the power of AI, and we can get into that.
You brought up something that I know is a big question for a lot of people because for me, it kind of sits in the back of my brain as well. With being so unfamiliarized with AI, number one, how are people not going to jail for plagiarism? Because it's giving a lot of copy and paste energy. And then number two,
Yeah.
how does someone with very valuable intellectual property like myself and others that are other entrepreneurs who are listening on a podcast, how do we protect ourselves from feeling like if we give all of our intellectual property to this system that it won't somehow take our information and run with it, or even present ideas in a sense that are not authentic to ours.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. now we're in kind of the wild, wild west phase of AI in the sense that millions, maybe billions of people are using these engines and they're reading everything that's on the internet, everything is publicly available and synthesizing it. But what we're in the middle of our class action lawsuits that are being filed against OpenAI, Claude, and others for digesting and spitting out, like returning language and insights from content that is proprietary. So, an example is Chat GPT. Earlier this summer or spring, I forget, they released a version of their video generation, or sorry, image generation bot, and you could really type out anything. You'd say, um, put let's say like Taylor Swift and put her in an image that looks like it's a James Bond movie. And though, and for the first few days it would do that, but quickly it was corrected. And under threat of lawsuit, they stopped using proprietary and branded imagery for that. But there's been other cases where Claude has returned language like in the style of Ernest Hemingway or Toni Morrison, and the outputs actually included lifted phrases directly from those books. So they're in a lawsuit that they are by all accounts they're avoiding that now, but they may have to pay some significant damages, in the billions or more for the content that they were spitting out. Now, that's at the macro level. Now, you mentioned how do we protect our own content? So you, as a user, when you get into a paid account, you're able to check settings, and time will tell if how protected we are. But you can check or uncheck settings to use your inputs to educate the primary code base on the bot. So as I know for a fact, actually, the OpenAI enables you to use the tool a lot more extensively if you opt in and allow your language and inputs to train the bot.
Right.
But if you opt out, basically you have fewer tokens, so to speak, and a little bit more limited use. But the so it's yeah, it's the early days. I think conceptually, like from a moral and ethical standpoint, they should not be plagiarizing, and they understand that. And so it's being sorted out. If you are really sensitive to that, I would not upload your data to to the database here. But there is a nice opportunity if you're open to it to create custom agents. And these custom agents, it's like having your mini Wikipedia that's
Hmm.
so you can create like a segment of Chat GPT, we call an agent. And so you'd select it in the menu. The example I use is I have a chef agent because I do the cooking at my house. I have a wife and two teen daughters. We have different schedules. So, some nights of the week there's three of us, sometimes it's two of us, and sometimes it's all four of us. And sometimes we have like house guests or another family over for dinner, and we all have different dietary preferences.
Hmm.
And I can log meals that we've liked or not. Each week I go in before I go grocery shopping on Saturday and give it little instructions. It returns all the recipes for meals for that week and my grocery list,
Right.
and even the grocery stores I need to go to.
Oh yeah.
It's super helpful. And I mean, it's like instantly it returns all that. And this is a task that used to take me a long time, or I
Right.
do it very haphazardly, buy too many groceries or forget things. And um, but applied in business, it's fantastic. Examples would be generating blog content or
Hmm.
scripts for ads or sales emails. Those are great ways to use AI, and do it in a custom fashion. So you say, you take somebody's LinkedIn profile, a link to their
Hmm.
LinkedIn profile, public facing,
Hmm.
and you paste it in the GPT, and maybe you reference your own LinkedIn profile. This is an example of something I do, and say, find the commonalities between us and what are some conversation topics we might have based on our shared background. And maybe they'll find that we have a mutual friend, or we both like to post on something, or we worked at the same company or volunteered at the same organization. And these become very customized emails. And the speed at which it does it is very remarkable.
Right.
So it's a very powerful tool that I think enables a lot of the things that we were doing previously just faster.
Yes. Yes. What advice do you have for someone who has analysis paralysis, right? I noticed that a lot of people are getting into AI, but what's happening is it's giving so much information that it's
Yeah.
like they're getting it all, and it's like, well, let me ask another question, another question, another question. So the analysis paralysis is something that's so good. Like the AI can be so good to them, but then they're not taking action even with that information.
Yeah, that's a good question. Um I would say too that you could take this a step further and um ask give the question parameters something that, like, if I want to grow my business, or if I want to have more leads or more sales, what steps should I take? And you can, when you get stuck, when you're just trying to get all the information you can, which many of us do in analysis paralysis, as you said, sometimes what you'll find, is that these chat GPT and others, they are very positive, and they really are encouraging, they just by their programming. And so they'll always say, oh, you're right, great idea. They tend to insert a lot of positive language, but what you need to do is ask it to list out the pros and cons of each decision. And it's actually great at that. So it can give you a table of, a list of pros, cons, and say, and make a recommendation. It is clearly a step beyond what Google search used to be, or looking on Wikipedia, where it doesn't merely just send information back, it also analyzes it and can provide opinions and guidance. So,
I mean, that's a great answer
yeah.
for sure. Okay, I'm going to use that one.
Yeah,
I'm
please
gonna,
do.
because I would say an opportunity for me in my business is that I've been in business now for 5 years, and it seems like at first I was getting leads, and then sometimes I won't get leads, and just throughout the years how that
Mhm.
goes. So now it's like I have this email list, and in some way, my email list is no longer my ideal clients. I'm now putting new ideal clients in there, but just the list I previously had.
Mhm.
But the people that are in that email list, I still have products and services that I can offer them, but I never used or thought to use Chat GPT and say, hey, I'm trying to make more sales to this particular list right here. Can you help me with some email marketing, right? And put
Mhm.
together that part. I think that is an opportunity that I can take and implement so that way I can see a return on investment for all of the time it did take me to
Yeah.
get those leads. And then also seeing that, again, I can weigh out the pros and the cons with the AI to say, okay, literally again, what's going to be good about this email marketing list? What's not going to be good about this? Is the list worth throwing away? Should I
Yeah.
start my list all over again if they're not my ideal client? Like trying to get a little bit more information, but emphasis on what you said of Chat GPT. Well, I love Claude AI personally, but
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Claude will tell you, Brielle, you are brilliant, girl. This was a great idea.
Right.
Yes, go do this.
Well, and that's where the AI really shines, like you said, is when you have requests that include a lot of data. So, you've got a whole list, a whole spreadsheet built out as you described, and Google just is not going to, like a Google search is just not going to be able to match because Google search is a process of matching, finding the article that matches your question most closely. And the AI is actually thinking and learning from the data you provide and generating new content based on the learning it already has. So it yeah, it's just kind of it's like going from where you're repeating a memorized fact to where you are really processing in your brain multiple things, all your experiences and knowledge, and combining that into the best possible answer.
Yes, I mean that's really real, right? Like that the experience and the knowledge part is really the emphasis of what you're saying is that you cannot be a person who just thinks that if you just put some brief, vague information into any type of AI, that it's actually going to give you quality. It will for sure give you quantity, but in reference to authenticity,
Yeah.
it's going to be harder to even continue to gain clarity in where someone is as a business, what obstacles they have in their business, and what steps they actually need to move forward if the authenticity piece doesn't come first before we even get to the AI part. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would agree completely. It's the best way to get outputs that really, that have authenticity. So whether it's your content that you're creating with the AI, like you're creating articles or blogs or scripts for videos, um, the AI will spit it out like generate me a blog. If you put that as a prompt, it will generate you a blog. And most people will stop there or they'll say like generate me a blog about marketing. And they keep it very brief. But when you start including say like read my past writings, uh, and let's tie in some current events. Let's tie in some other experiences I've had with my clients recently, and this framework that I like, and this quote that I like, and that will turn into the to a much more rich and informed from real life experience piece of content than anything else.
Oh, yeah, I could totally agree with that, which leads me directly into my a good question I've been waiting for to ask. Please tell the people the importance of video content
Yeah.
in this season.
Yes. Well, the most authentic content is when you put your face on it. And the video content, Breye'l, what you're doing now, I have my own video podcast as well. I've tried lots of things. I come from a sales background where I was doing a lot of cold calling and cold emailing, which is so much easier now with all the tools we have. But it simultaneously has become a lot more difficult. There's a lot more people doing it. Now, when you do video content, that gives you the platform to say what you want, and you speak from the heart, you speak from your experience, it comes directly from you, and there's no doubting it that people hear your voice, they see how you move, they see your smile, um, they hear real opinions, and even your ums and ahs. I'm terrible at that, but those things they are connective characteristics. Like
Yeah,
people shows you empathize with them and that they see you as a real person.
yeah.
So I can't emphasize how valuable that is enough because the and I can actually speak from experience. I started my own podcast earlier this year, and this is after a long period of doing cold emails, and I was just I was very efficient at it, sending thousands, tens of thousands of emails a day, getting very little return. But as I started doing my podcast, and creating video content, I at first kind of hoped that somebody would see it and reach out and become a lead, but the real success has been the quality of conversations I'm having with my existing clients and opportunities for upsell and doing more together, extending our partnerships has really increased. They see me as a greater collaborator. It's been just such an effective touch point. So I create the videos, I include it in my newsletter to clients and prospects, and those are the great conversation starters that cold email just wasn't working for.
Hmm. I didn't think about adding my podcast to my new realm of leads that come in, especially with the leads being in like a totally different demographic. I didn't really think about the power of being able to do that because one of the opportunities that I feel like I was having with my email list, and I think which kind of prevented me from being consistent in a sense of sending emails, is the open rate. And so, it takes obviously diligence to,
Mhm.
again, get the email, set the sequence up, be consistent in the email marketing. So when I wasn't seeing sales through my email marketing, I just wasn't consistent in it. But just like how you found my podcast has been a catalyst for me to have been able to host so many more high performing individuals, people who I would have never thought, like, you want to come on my podcast? Okay. How'd you
Yeah,
even find me?
right.
Right. But to reference what you're saying, it was the confidence that it takes within me as a business owner to even have started the podcast, doing a video form of it and not just hiding behind just speaking and then also seeing, oh, wow, I'm getting opportunities all the time where people want to come on my podcast. How can I take this opportunity and maximize it to the best of my ability? So I see what you're saying. If I take the podcast, then maybe in, again, those short snippets, get them broken up, and then let that be something that I add to the newsletter. It seems like it can be beneficial in the positioning that it takes to be able to close the sale because a lot of people, especially when you're new in business, a lot of people may not understand that there are short sales cycles and there are long sales cycles. But those longer sales cycles, they can pay off more, they can pay off in better dividends, but you have to build credibility and you have to build authority and trust in those. And it seems like the video content piece, if people can get into it, it's the greatest way to build trust.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. And it doesn't, and I was just talking actually to a video content creator earlier today, a specialist, and I was just asking him, what's the biggest misconception people have, and he said that it's hard, that it's actually very easy. There are cheap and free platforms that you can do this on. I'm sure you could do it in a very professional manner, but I don't know that there's any reason to start out with anything but free and very inexpensive tools. So, it's tremendous. And I everything you said is totally correct. Great opportunity for a business owner.
Sure. So, how someone's listening to our podcast right now, okay? It's me, Reed. I'm the someone. Okay. I'm the someone. How can I better automate my podcast? Like, what are some of the opportunities that I have at hand? Because right now, just like what we had happen earlier today,
Mhm.
I thought the email was sent out for our recording. It wasn't sent, and there's no welcome to Creating Your Dream Business podcast and reminder 2 days before. How? Where do I start? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so there's a few different tools that are available to you, and like many, like I mentioned, are available for free. Um, if you've ever used Make.com or Zapier.com, these are tools that make connecting two different apps very easy. So you create your account, and so say you wanted to, whenever an email, a certain kind of email inquiry came in. So somebody requested to be a guest on your podcast, which comes in from time to time. You can integrate your Gmail to read certain emails and send that request to a Google Sheet. And within the Google Sheet, it can, you can parse you can filter for certain words or whatnot. And then that could be integrated with your calendar. So it could propose dates, and you can automate the response to that and say, sure, great, let's set up a time to get to know each other. And then, a meeting invite can be sent. And then that initial vetting process is pretty well handled without you being involved. Now, there's a few tasks to do in post, and if you're using a task manager, once the podcast is complete, you can use the same tool, Make or Zapier, to send you either a reminder or create a task in your task manager. Even just within Gmail, you can create a task to edit the podcast and package it for. This goes on YouTube, is that right? Okay, so package it for YouTube, including the show notes and the appropriate links, and so you create that task. Now that's a simple one. The next thing you can do is create a connection to your AI. So it says tell it to watch this video file, transcribe it, give me YouTube show notes, and and then deliver that to me. And so the cool thing about AI is actually it's very easy to integrate AI in your steps, and it's doing very complex things. These make.com workflows, they're nice because they don't require coding. You are essentially dragging objects. So you'll have a blank screen, kind of a grid, like a graph paper looking screen, and you'll drag icons like one that looks like a Google Sheets icon, one that looks like a Gmail icon, and one looks like a YouTube icon. And you'll draw connecting lines between the two and tell, when does this piece of data go here? When does this piece of data go here? When is this email sent? And it can be fun. It's a little bit like building a train set or a Lego set. I'd say that's a similar sensation. And then when you complete it and it's working, it is just so gratifying. You've built an engine, and and the instructions for these kinds of tools are very available. They have plenty of videos to do it, but they're quite intuitive. And I would recommend anybody wanting to improve their process, maybe draw it out on paper, or write out everything that needs to happen, and before going to the computer interface.
Yep, I knew you were going to say that. I automatically started getting anxiety. My upper lip feels like it wants to start sweating. It's like, for some reason, the act of automation is overwhelming to me, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want it, I need it, it's always been there. It is the act of okay, now I have to watch the YouTube video to figure out how to do this. Okay, then I have to do this part. And I am getting better at it, I must
Yeah.
admit, because for sure, you can see and feel how it frees up time and energy. And that's a big part about business is opportunity cost,
Hmm.
right? It's like you can't do everything and
Right.
have freedom, because when you're supposed to be chilling on the beach,
Right.
you're going to be sending emails when somebody reaches out about the podcast,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So there is an emphasis for people listening to the podcast to make a decision and say, how important is your freedom to you as a business owner? How important is spending time with your family, already having the groceries from the grocery store completed, than the opportunity of being at the grocery store all day for getting items? So there, of course, is a benefit in it. It just really seems like finding the balance. So can you talk to us about the power of digital marketing with AI? Is it better in a sense when we're talking marketing, as in from a branding perspective, or is there a great opportunity in reference to profits and revenues? Book like, and if it is a great opportunity for the profits and revenues, is it more of you can use the AI to book more calls, or do you see a greater opportunity too with maybe women who have ebooks that they want to sell or other like master classes or digital products? What's your point of view on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say, so I've wanted AI to do all of the above. I've attempted all of the above because there are AI tools that allow you to send mass amounts of email, create great cold emails, send them in large volumes, customize them. There's AI bots that also handle voice calls, whether they're inbound or outbound, or chat bots that do the same thing with text. But what I have found is that the um, robotic nature of the sales piece of it is easy to detect, and that maybe it's a cultural thing, or maybe it's a um, like or maybe the robots are just very far off from sounding human. Um, but in either case, I have not found them to be very effective, and that human connection has been the best way to continue to sell and grow a business. Now, so I'm telling you ways that AI is not effective. So where is it effective? AI is the most effective at helping you learn things. So when you are trying to build out, say you're a coach or a consultant, and you're trying to build out a full suite of frameworks and lessons. Inevitably there's going to be some things from your own experience, but there are going to be some gaps. And you can use the AI as a resource to help inform you on topics or gaps that you might have in your own experience. And to create that content, it's going to, if you're going to have high quality content, you're going to need to generate the bulk of it yourself. But the AI can help you fill in gaps, know where the gaps are, help you find vendors, partners that can support you. Like, do you need a book? It can help you find publishers that will help you. Do you need a website? It can help you generate website copy, instructions for how to do it, and the tools you'll need to build it. So I think the uh, biggest benefit of AI is that it makes so many things possible. Um, you're able to code apps from scratch now. Non-developers can ask. You could just go straight to ChatGPT or Claude and ask it to give you the code to do, X, 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 and Y, and to get you a full application developed, and it will give you that code, and you'll say, well, where do I put this code? And then it describes how to do that. Where do I host this code? How do I set up a website? It gives you all of that information. So everything that you think you're missing, or like, I'm stuck here, this doesn't work, tell me what to do, and it will tell you. It's and so I think that what it has opened in my mind is that I feel that so many more things are doable than I ever thought. That we can learn anything we need to, and things we may not want to learn, we can find people and resources that can do this for us. But it just for me, I think it's a really empowering tool for an entrepreneur. It just opens so many doors. And the I wouldn't lean on it for sales. I would lean into your authenticity for sales, but I would keep it internal and have it help you fill in the gaps in your own skill set.
That is a really, really great answer for sure, because it like ties our conversation all the way back around to the authenticity, right?
Right.
Right now, it may seem like people are getting further with AI. But there will be a time where the people who are being authentic in the video content and the short form content and the putting their faces out here like this, the time will come for sure for us to flourish first
Yeah.
because it's again, we're creating and growing our dream businesses. The dream emphasis on that, right? Because we all know sometimes this is a real dream, sometimes it's a daydream, sometimes it's a nightmare. You're still dreaming, right?
Right.
But when it's yours and you're recognizing that you're creating and growing, it it goes back to sincerity, right? And it goes back to that human nature. And AI can move things faster, right? Again, you might get
Right.
more email output. You may be sending emails every single day now. We're posting 3, 5 pieces of content every day. But again, how much of that is authentic and how much of that can the audience tell? Oh, wait a minute. I don't really think that's her, or I
Mhm.
don't think that's him. It's like you said, it's like a chat bot.
Yeah. Right.
So being in that space of sincerity is what I do believe is very important as well. And so before we wrap, I do want to ask your opinion on how or what advice would you give someone who is inside of a space where they are flourishing in AI.
Mhm.
And now they're trying to figure out what is that good flow of this amount of my business is AI, this amount of my business is showing up in the actual video content. Is there a percentage piece of it that you feel like one should do? Or do you feel like it's subjective to the person's business and the market that they're in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think uh, percentage, that's a good question. I'll be cagey and say it depends, but the key is that your high quality content is going to come from what what your real voice and face are on. That's going to be the driver of real connection, and that will be the thing that teaches people, the thing that learns. Now, AI content does have its place, and a lot of the algorithms currently are built for businesses that post consistently. So whether that's Google Business Profile, LinkedIn Business, or Facebook Business, wherever it be, you do get a boost from posting consistently, AI or not. And so you I think there's a place for the AI content to talk to the social media algorithms, and then promote the content where your face is on it, even if you can't produce it daily. But if you could produce it weekly or twice a month, um, please do that. And that will be the content that people refer to, people want to connect with you over, and the way people really find you. So that's the way we use it generally is AI for daily or weekly posts, and we real conversations like you and I are having. That's where we really shine.
That's really good. That's really good. I have to find me an AI app for editing videos.
Yeah.
Right now, I just let them ride, and I
Have
love
you ever tried Descript?
Descript.
Uh-huh.
I think someone mentioned that recently at a luncheon I was at, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I've liked it. And it's not that it's like $20 a month, so it's
Okay.
not terrible. And it yeah, it's just something to look at. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. And there is definitely some great AI in it.
Yeah, that's going to be really great. You've helped me out so much already.
Oh, my pleasure. My
Oh my
pleasure.
goodness.
You're an impressive person, and just sometimes just having this kind of connection, like it just takes you next step.
Yes, it does, because what you've helped me, and I know the listeners for sure know and remember and recognize is number one, again, you have to have authenticity over automation.
Yes.
But at the same time, automation can surely help your business if you're willing to just get in there and do it. And it also seems like once you kind of learn how to do it for what works in your business, now it's kind of like rinse and repeat because you've got that flow going. So, but you just
Right.
have to have the desire to learn how to get the flow going. And then last but not least, what I got from you as well is to remember that authenticity is in the human nature of the sales and that we don't have to try to just depend on AI to make all of the sales for us, and that people still want to be connected and sold to as humans. You just use the AI again to fill in the gap. I also want to share with you a statistic. I might not be 100% right on it, but I heard a woman say that she saw some research that when you come up with your own ideas, it's a higher chance of you remembering them versus if you depend on AI for ideas, you're way less likely to actually remember what you're trying to promote. So just imagine if you strive to try to build a whole business off of AI thoughts, when it is time for you to get on the phone with that client or when it is time for you to actually speak about your business, you're going to struggle if you didn't again have that authenticity first and input that into AI to help with that.
Yes. Yeah. If I can just give support to that, I think it's totally true. And, I find that the exercise of talking about AI with people like you, I learn a lot, and it also helps me, the questions you ask, it helps me think through connections that I wouldn't make if I were, just sitting in my office alone all day.
he said, he said, I know the podcast episode's almost over, so now it's gonna be the perfect time. Hey, hey, hey,
He
can you go get
knows.
your book so I can read it? Go get your book. Go get your book. While you're getting your book, we're gonna have Mr. Reed tell the people where they can connect with you
Absolutely.
and how you can help them.
Absolutely. So I would love to connect with anybody in your audience. My website is marketsurge.io. And, if you're interested in my podcast, it's marketsurge slash podcast. Pretty easy to get to. And I'd love to just, talk AI, or if you need any support with your digital marketing, I'd love to help you as well.
Oh yeah, definitely gonna have the book a call because I think I still can use a little bit more tips.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, happy to.
for some digital marketing for sure. So I know, including the ladies and the gentlemen that are listening to our podcast episode now or 5 years from now, they are going to be inside of a space also where they're going to need your help. So this podcast episode has been jam-packed with good nuggets, right? And nuggets that help us transform our mind. And again, remember that while we are creating business, growth is subjective to how much we want to grow. So, my final question for you before we wrap up is if you could create any new business in the world based off of your AI experience, what would it be and why?
Well, that's a really good question. I think I would create um this is going to sound boring because I love to read, but I struggle with finding new books to read that don't just have beautiful covers. I struggle with finding books that I'll like, and so I often start a book and not finish it. So I would build an AI that knows what I like and gives great recommendations. So that is what I would build. I don't think I'd make very much money doing it, but I think it would be very beneficial to me.
I believe it'd be extremely beneficial as well because I'm a reader as
Yeah.
well in my Business Confidence Academy. Every month we read books also because I know how important that is. But I totally feel you on that too. Sometimes you get halfway through that book and you're like, who's finishing this?
Yes,
Not me. Somebody should have told me I wasn't going to like this.
absolutely.
So, yes, that's how it goes. Well, audience and Mr. Reed, we appreciate you for being here today. Hey, baby, relax. You want to say hello?
Hello.
Yes, we appreciate you for being here with us today. And we're super excited to be on the call with us also. And so, for anybody listening to this podcast episode, remember that you have the ability to create and grow your dream business just like reading now. Only thing you have to do is want the growth for yourself. So until next time, this was an amazing podcast episode, and we'll see you guys later.